thank you. Thank you to everybody to come in here, and Happy New Year. We are still in 9th January, so it's fine to wish Happy New Year, and thanks to Rainone for having me. And this is not just a cliche, because I had the opportunity to, thanks to this speech, to this presentation, to make a big retrospective of my experience of my professional life. And thanks to this opportunity, I was forced to connect all the points on all my knowledge or everything in order to present to you in a proper way my experience. And yes, my name is Luca Rainone. I'm a software developer from 20 years, and in the last 4 or 5 years, I'm also was a team leader, coordinator, and responsible of IT teams and departments. So I'm in the middle of a changement, and now I'm freelance, and I don't want to forget my path, and I want to organize my thoughts, my bias, and recognize my bias, and share with you, and maybe having also some discussion with you, because I'm aware that sometimes everybody can have bias, and we have to fight bias. But I also took the opportunity to make some research, to talk to other people, and share our experience. So based on my experience, I try to know what are the other decisions made by other people. So thanks, I started with a big retrospective, but the retrospective begins by seeing everything from another point of view. Maybe I don't know how many of you knows who are citizen developers. I'm literally obsessed by this topic because I recognize that they exist and they are many. But who are citizen developers? Basically, citizen developer, I prefer also to call them a citizen coder, because I want to imagine people that code. Is a non-developer with a little experience in formal coding, information technology, or computer science, and they work as a hobbyist or as an employee in another not-tech companies. And what they do, the citizen coder are able to use low-code tools or no-code tools or any other tools that nowadays also with AI the market offer, in order to meet specific business requirements. Now, I can imagine your thoughts, because it was also mine. Making software is an art job, and allowing people that are not technical doing this job could be dangerous, and actually it is. But this doesn't change the fact that they exist and they are many. I'm also a co-host in a podcast, so we have a community of 1,500 people. I did a survey in our community, and we discovered that from 5 to 8% of people are citizen developers, citizen coders. So I repeat myself, non-professional developers who code in business context. And if we don't want to rely on my personal survey, there is also some hidden numbers in, for example, in Stack Overflow Developer Survey, when we can see that 10% of respondents of this survey are not professional coders, but used to code in their company, their work. But what they do? in the same survey, there are not other statistics, but in the same survey that I did, I discovered that that some people do mini back office. They use maybe also Excel. They use low-code tool or no-code tool in order to build something, in order to build back office. And I was in contact with an archaeologist that built a software to map their site, and I also was in contact with an architect in a municipality that managed the cemetery, the graveyard of his municipality. It's not in Bolzano. So they are many, and I started to think what they do and how they do this kind of stuff. They directly addressing ultra-specific business issues with immediate results. And the business is happy. The business is happy because they solve, maybe they never know that some people use IT technology for solving particular issue in their business, but they are happy. And I think I asked to myself why. They are not professional coders that make some code and they have a standing ovation. We as developers do a lot of jobs, a lot of software, and we have, and it's normal and it is fine, it's our job, but there is something that I miss. So I started to think, I started to find some analogy between citizen coders and their mindset and professional developers. So what they do? They boost their productivity without asking permission. Because in the majority of the cases, according to my service, okay, they don't ask permission. They do some automated testing in their free time, maybe working free time, or even real free time. But the key is they boost their productivity. And this is the thing that we as developers should do to ourselves. So we should take inspiration from them to improve also our productivity. This is a name, this has a name, this is called the developer experience. There are multiple definitions of developer experience. I reported the one of Microsoft, how easy or difficult it is for a developer to perform essential tasks needed to implement a change. Or by Atlassian, focuses on the developers' lived experiences and points of friction they encounter in their everyday work. There are also other definitions. Developer experience is how much happy are developers in your company. So it is recognized that in some contexts that the developer experience is important, but I experienced in this case that there is a missing link between the developer experience and the business, because there is not a direct increase of return on investment on it. And this is an issue because we need resources in order to work on our experience, and we need to ask permission to have time to improve developer experience. Big company has also dedicated team to them, but there are not so many companies that do it. So the challenge for me is how business can understand the impact of that. The business, I define business stakeholders, investors, so all the ecosystem around the ITT. So I encountered resistance on some company for asking time for improve the developer experience. Developer experience, you can think about it in order. You can think about refactoring. You can think about also exploring new stuff for improve our experience during the development. And yes, this is the first story. The startup that I contributed to build. There was a moment, so maybe there is never the right moment, but there is a moment when we need sometimes to improve our experience. So I tried to ask time. I tried to ask to the investor to say we need some time for stopping the features to help our job. And yes, this is my first mistake, my first lack of communication, because when I tried to explain the advantage of this time invested, after some discussion, they answered, okay, if it's fun, do it. No, it's not fun because it's fun. It's fun because we need to do it, because then we can improve and we can go faster. But yes, they want, if we ask to the business, they want something in back, in return. So what is the ROI? So it's easy for the business to ask some KPI, something to measure, to tell to the IT department, to the IT responsible or whatever, okay, I give you time, but I have to see that this time worked. So they try to ask some KPI, some measure. And this is also my feeling about the KPI. It is also a fact, and there is an article that explains some statistics that the burnout in IT industry is higher, and this is direct linked to how the developers work every day. In other words, how they work in their developer experience context. And the happiness of the worker is not measurable with some KPI. So I was in the condition that, okay, how can I explain this? Well, we cannot talk about developer experience without talking about DORA metrics. The DORA metrics are the common KPI for measuring the developer experience is moving around the company. And there's four. Deployment frequency. It tracks how often an organization successfully deploys code to production. Lead time for changes. It measures the time it takes to go from code committed to code successfully running in production. Change failure rate. It is the percentage of the deployments that result in failure requiring rollback, hotfix, patches. And time to restore. That measures how long it takes to recover from a production incident or outage. These are the standard KPI to monitor. And maybe you can hear from my tone of voice, I was really in doubt for this KPI, because as I told you, it's difficult to measure with this KPI, this feeling for developers. So this is one of my bias, but I was aware that it's okay. There's a KPI was built by some group of search of some fund. And, maybe I can be presumptuous, but I'm not so much presumptuous. So okay, in some way I was wrong. So I started to search some something to help me to exit from this bias. And I found this. I found some other people that is aligned to my goal. For example, the head of DevOps at Atlassian imagined the possibility if the same amount of time and energy was invested in improving developer productivity rather than trying to measure it. So I thought, okay, I'm not alone, but yeah, it's still strange. There is something that I'm missing. Finally, I found this keyword. This is the Buddha's law. I don't know if somebody knows the Buddha's law. I didn't know it, but it was my epiphany in the end. So I was able to give a name to my feeling about this KPI. And the Buddha's laws says when a measure becomes a target, it stops to be a good measure. And if you think it's true, because not universal true, but it happens often. Let's think about, for example, to Google and SEO. They look at the first KPI on the search engine. So how many link points to your website. The more link points to your website, then your website is important. And it worked until it was not public. And then everybody starts to hack this KPI. They start to manipulate, and then Google have to find also other KPI. So, based on this keyword, I also searched on Google with the algorithm improved DORA metrics and Goodhart's law, and then I found finally what was my bias. We need to address to the right KPI, and for sure not only one or two KPI. We need to don't lose the focus of the real output of the company. And this is, let's say, my first bias solved. But remain the fact that explain this to the business still it's not a good idea, because the DORA metrics are for IT department, for IT managers. Only the IT managers can know the real meaning of this KPI. And what we can do in order to convince the business to for the importance of the developer experience. And it comes back the cities and developers, they don't ask. They do and stop. And another thing that we need to focus on is that all the KPIs, all the OKR and the KPI are always sometimes can have a subjective value. For example, if a software is built making technical debt, it means that I use faster solutions that are good in the short term, but less in the long term. Well, the same value of the software is different if he's a developer that look at the software or a business that look at the software. So everything depends by who look at the things. And this is nothing new. I remember the agile principle, and actually the agile principles focus on people. The agile principle are there's four: individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over following a plan. Everything in some way regard people. So it's a thing that everybody knows, but sometimes we forget, not at least I forgot sometimes, a lot of time. And this is a link for other two stories. Focusing on decision, forcing the technical reasons behind decisions. Sometimes I took some decisions not taking in consideration the human factor. Even if theoretically these are technical decisions. And I give you one example. This is a word that it's basically always alive in web development. We have to choose for our product or for a part of the product if we need to use JavaScript or TypeScript. We choose the JavaScript ecosystem because it was a technology already in our stack, so we don't want to introduce another technology. So yes, maybe Golang would be better, but okay, for strategic decision, it was between JavaScript and TypeScript. And there was two groups of developers, the one who preferred JavaScript, the one who preferred TypeScript. I did one thing. We had also another product. So we use JavaScript for one and TypeScript for another, just as explained. And I noticed one thing, and just a parenthesis, using JavaScript is perfectly fine. And there are also people that analyze the so-called TypeScript tax. Okay, TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript, and this language allows you to be more strict, and it is true, but it comes with a tax that you have to pay. Tax meaning of development tax. You insert a build step, for example, and it is in any case a patch of all the problem of JavaScript, not a solution, but just a patch. In any case, I want to say this because I'm a JavaScript fan, but in any case, is let's say the advantages of that you have with TypeScript is not able to cover all the tasks that you have to pay. And but what happened in the end? This is a little bit technical, but just to make the idea. It happened that who was for JavaScript and wrote in TypeScript, they used the same freedom of JavaScript in TypeScript and vice versa. Who wrote in TypeScript, or who was a fan of TypeScript, when he wrote JavaScript, they wrote in a way that was not good for JavaScript itself. They forced the rules of TypeScript in JavaScript, and thanks that it doesn't work. This is an example. To the left, there is the code in TypeScript that is pretty clear. There is an interface params with two numbers A and B. There is a function do something that accepts this A and B, return a number, call another function appending another variable C, and call the do other things that make some stuff. It's pretty clear what on the left is. But the same exact thing, if you want to write JavaScript, it cannot be this, that it's basically the same thing on TypeScript translated in JavaScript. It doesn't work JavaScript in this way. Because on the right, you lose what params is, for example. What is params? It's an object, okay, maybe it's an object, let's see the body, an object that I will pass to another function, but what should I put inside this object? Yes, there is a JS doc documentation or whatever, but it's tricky if you write JavaScript in this way. And vice versa, if you want to write TypeScript as you write JavaScript, you will end to make the so-called type gymnastic. If you want a JavaScript function that accepts everything and return everything else, you can do in TypeScript, but it will be totally a mess. Just to give you on how should be wrote JavaScript is to be more explicit and making use of default value. This is just a hint to see to the developer and to the VS Code to the type of the arguments. And you must do the cast in this way. A Java or Golang developer still horrible to this, but this is how JavaScript should be wrote. If you don't want all the issue that flexible language as JavaScript bring with you. And this is also a demonstration with the same exactly code that you can have in the IDE, all the information that you need. So it was a technical decision, but in the end, it depends by the people. I know it's not a revolution of thinking, but just to say that sometimes we forget, or I forgot, that solutions are not only technical. Another story, another thing that I did is the process of the agile methodologies. We basically used agile with the framework Scrum, so sprint, retrospective, planning, stand-up meeting, and so on. Plus, of course, with the help of GitLab or GitHub, pull request or merge request with code review. So we ask for code review, and only if one or two people approve code review, the pull request can be merged. Okay, what was the issue? Slow code review. Some people asked for code review, and after 3, 4, 5 days, maybe somebody read the code review and basically rejected. Another issue that I noticed that there was very trivial bugs and sloppy code. It's not about the experience of the developer or the professionality of the developer. It was something of deeper. So I asked to initially to one developer. I asked, sorry, in your opinion, who is the responsible of the pull request? And maybe this is also a question that I could make to you. Who is the responsible of a pull request, of a feature, let's say?
So between whom? The developer and who?
Developer, the team leader, the company, the team, nobody, everybody.
The committer, no? team?
The team developer. The developer asked without hesitation. The responsibility is the team. And then I replied, so for this reason you did a sloppy code. Because the responsibility is of everybody, so it's not only yours. And we discussed it also animated on this. No, because the responsibility is of the whole team, because you cannot blame people. It's true. I don't blame people, but I need to find who is responsible if somebody is broken. I need to feel this as team leader, as a responsible of the entire team. Then outside our team, the responsibility is the whole team and my responsibility. If a company sells a product that is broken, the company itself is responsible. Of course, the company cannot tell the customer, no, it's Georg that is into the mistake. No, it's the company. Okay, but internally of the company, it should be clear who is accountable, who is responsible if something goes wrong. So there are some, this is my opinion, so it's, but I asked it also to other friends of mine, also CTO, team leaders, and also thanks to, luckily I have a good network, also people that work on Fang, and I noticed that there is no clear, a shared answer to this question. But in reality, then I asked also to other members of the team, and also the other members of the team answered the same thing. No, it's the team responsible. So for this reason, to take 5 days to make a code review. If you feel responsible for the code of another person, to another developer, of course you have to take time, you have to download the code, you have to switch the branch, run the migration, you have to test, you have to understand what the feature is, what the ticket in Jira is. Of course, you cannot do it in 1 day. You have to take the time. But this is not the purpose of the code review. This is not the acceptance criteria, the quality acceptance of each. This is a code review. This is totally another thing. So when I make clear that to me the responsible of a pull request of a feature is the committee of the people who write the feature, magically the pull request becomes very clear. They address the other people of the team for specific stuff. For example, I know that this part is made by you, please review this part. The other people, please review this other part. And in the other hands, they are the reviewers knows better what have to review, and they accept faster. The risk is that if there are some frictions between developers and this mechanism could not work, but luckily it doesn't happen. It was just this sentence: you are responsible of the feature. Stop, and everything worked smoothly after this. So this is an advice also to me to remember to go deeply inside the issues, because another thing, when I discussed it with a friend of mine, he told me, no, the responsibility is of the team. And I asked, okay, but what if the pull request is thousands of lines, poor quality, and so on? In this case, he told me, I approved the pull request with the comment approved by trust. So you are responsibilizing the developer. So we are saying the same thing in the end. It's all about responsibility. This is also inside the boundaries in the context of the developer experience. Because I felt also, I know what it means, make a pull request and waiting 5 days before my work is matched. So having a faster processes to the development increase the so-called developer experience. Now, process aside, we need to allocate time for analyze our process. Sadly, there is no universal answer. Every company is different, so there are processes, there are different processes, there are different people, there are different contexts. If you are a mobile developer, it's different to web developer, that is different to system developer, and so on. The thing that we can do is rely to our developers and take the time to analyze their experience. And every time it's I talk about taking time, I always, the voice of the Merovingian of the movie Matrix 2, that say, okay, who has time? They invite Neo on the table, Neo rejected the invitation, and he say, okay, yes, who has time? But if we do not ever take time, how can we ever have time? So we need to take this time without permission. And I tried a different solution. There are different solutions that I tried in different companies, so different teams, different companies. The first is to dedicate sprints to internal stuff. This is very dangerous, especially in a startup company, especially with the investor and the time to market, reasonable. But I tried also this in a startup, and the result it was that I obtained the dedicated sprint, and sprints for internal stuff. That means that the development of product was stopped for 1 week or 2 weeks. And after the new laws, okay, go ahead. After the 2 weeks, okay, good, you did this, you did this other thing, and for this feature, and for this feature, and for this feature, no, it didn't go ahead for the rest. We stopped at the development. Okay. So it's maybe this is very dangerous, and you need to understand. You can do in a specific context with solid, maybe companies without the pressure of the market and investors. And another solution could be the reserve some day or half day better on introspective of our developer business, for example, the Friday afternoon. I tried this solution in 2 different teams, and it didn't work as well as I expected, because not for manager or shareholders, but again, for people. Because some people say, no, I don't want to be forced to work in a specific task on Friday. Okay. And other people say that, no, I want to focus on my KPI, my feature for the business. And then I remember the good art law. But of course, it's a creative process, so we cannot force people to do this process. So maybe it could work, maybe not even best by the people. Another solution, it could be the individual responsibility. We know that we have to improve this, so take your time whenever you want and go. This is also dangerous because we need to pay attention of the developers, because some developers could not work at all and making only stuff of developer experience, leaving the rest back, or vice versa. In the end, it's always depends by the people and how they feel that they can contribute to this cause of the developer experience. But the thing that we don't have to forget is to feed the stakeholders, feed the market. So this is the only common point of the three experiments. Now, we need to take time, but before taking time, we need to measure the time and the effort of our commitment to the product. So I tried with the team something that is already well known in agile environment. And yes, the technique is to use the Fibonacci sequence for measure the effort of a singular issue. This is not invented, of course. Agile itself suggests to use the Fibonacci sequence, but with some refinement, I noticed that it worked pretty well in different teams. So the technique is this: okay, using the Fibonacci sequence, pure Fibonacci sequence without rounding, and stop to 34. And making this rule. This is also very fast during our sprint planning. So the story points of 1 to 3 is a one-shot modification, some click around some back office or some enabling of disabling flags. From 5 to 8, here is for some code modifications, small code modification, one line or one block. And of course with some tests, manual or automated. 13 and 21 are modifications that somebody would say, okay, half a day it is ready, 2 hours, 3 hours, half a day it is ready. 34, if you instinctively say 1 day of work. But the key is that if an issue exceeds 34, it should be split, divided into multiple smaller issues. In the end, this is the key because it forces you to work. It forces you to make a real planning of the specification. So if a feature is big, you have to split in, okay, this is the database, this is the issue for the tests, this is the issue for other stuff, other things. So you are able to plan better your issue. And why I say that this is, for me, it was a good solution, because when I did apply this with the same people, with the same company, the sprint was a mess. Totally, it didn't work in any case. When I started to use other numbers of the Fibonacci sequence, so I rejected the last point. It didn't work because it means that an issue is so big, so it requires some attention on it. And this is, for example, one of the results. This is the well-known chart for the agile. In red are the issues closed, and in blue the issues that should be completed during the range of the sprint. The ideal is a straight line red from bottom left to top right. And yes, in this case you can see that it's good enough, let's say. So in this case I found some good measure to take our time. So I can say, okay, 80% we can feed our business, the other 20% we can make some introspective. The other thing is, the other issue is what to do with the time. I thought that every company is different, are specific issue. So what we have to do, there is not a universal solution, as I said, and we cannot force the business or other people of other teams to tell us what we have to do. We should know what we have to do. But how do it? And for answer to this question, there is a story that is reported by the book The Pragmatic Programmer. And this story for me was a pillar in everything that I do as a developer, as team leader, as a whatever. Because I experiment that this works. And if it doesn't work, it happened one time that it doesn't work at all. In any case, bring something good. This is the story. I can maybe read for who is far. The story is the stone soup. The 3 soldiers returning home from war were hungry. When they saw the village ahead, their spirits lifted. They were sure the villagers would give them a meal. But when they got there, they found the doors locked and the windows closed. After many years of war, the villagers were short of food and hoarded what they had. Undeterred, the soldiers boiled a pot of water and carefully placed 3 stones into it. The mad villagers came out to watch. This is a stone soup, the soldiers explained. Is that all you put in it? Asked the villagers. Absolutely, I thought some say it tastes even better with a few carrots. A villager ran off, returning in no time with a basket of carrots from his hoard. A couple of minutes later, the villagers again asked, is that it? Well, said the soldiers, a couple of potatoes give it body, off from another village. Over the next hour, the soldier listed more ingredients that would enhance the soup: beef, leek, salt, and herbs. Each time, a different villager would run off to raid their personal stores. Eventually, they had produced a large pot of steaming soup. The soldiers removed the stones, and they sat down with the entire village to enjoy the first square meal any of them had eaten once. So the moral here, there are different morals. The first is the boiled frogs. So the villagers are too focused on their own that they don't see the general portrait. And the soldiers put it in the village the things that they do, some stones, rocks. And thanks to the first input, then everybody started to move. I experienced this several times, and this is maybe the advice that the book of Pragmatic Programmer give, and I give. Those are in general, my stones in boiling waters. I try to improve my daily process every day. This is a thing that I do, and the thing that I ask to people to do. and it works also for refactoring. I had the experience that maybe there was a product that must be refactored in a company of 10, 20 years, but the product was so big and nobody wants to start refactoring because in general it's never a good idea to refactor, but sometimes it needs to refactor. So just try to make something, even if not perfect, even if it seems useless, but the first step and sharing this first step could move something of bigger. Always rely on external tools, find tools for automations, and see what we can automate. And another thing that I always do when I go in any other company is to create a headquarters repository, and here put everything I do for automating stuff, for particular queries, for some scripts to do something, for playbooks of Ansible, everything that in the end I can share with other developers. And there is another story of this. When I was in Immobiliare, there was some issue on our developer experience, and I started to do the stuff to myself. I treated my responsible, and he was aware that I did some tools for better improve the developer experience, and in the end the build of the local environment. And he asked me to show to other people what I did. The funny story is that when I showed my work to the other part of the other developers, we discovered that one developer did the same exact thing, and he didn't share. But he didn't share because he has fear to share something that in the end changed the context, change the normal behavior, or maybe they don't want to have the responsibility to change. But sometimes you need just a friend. You need just a co-worker that supports you. Sadly, it's not went well because both we left the company before see the light of this tool. But it was interesting that it was enough to make the first step to start something of it. And yes, for who wants some tools, because okay, developer experience is a more complex topic. I don't want to be more technical, but in general, I leave some toys, some toy. And on the topic of developer experience, I don't know if you know Ansible, that is a tool made by Red Hat for automation. Thanks to Ansible, you can do almost everything you can do on shell, but in automated way on multiple servers. And if you don't know it, I suggest you to give a look. Directus, it's a tool, a low-code tool that allows you to build a back office based on an existing database. It's like Strapi, but you don't have to start with Directus. You can use Directus directly from an existing database, and it provides you a back office that you have to configure, but everything is well done. Provide you an API, and provide you the access management, so user that can see, write, read, update specific row, specific thing. N8N is open source alternative to Zapier for a platform platform for automating processes between different services. These are all tools that you can use in your company or in order to improve also the experience of developers, but also other employees. And I train it's a visual configurator for processes and connect external tools. For example, I accept a form from Typeform and I open a ticket on Jira, for example. And it's self-hostable and you can written in Node and you can use it. Be aware of the license for business purpose. It uses the sustainable license. So for business, we need to read the documentation. The Plan2ML, C4 Plan2ML, this is another tool that is useful for building graphs. So it's great for documentation and build the documentation following the C4 principles. The C4 principle is basically start from the context, then document different containers, then documents all containers, the components of all containers, and then finally, eventually, you can document the code. And the end, this is the DevOps book for the win. It's called the Phoenix Project. This is a novel, so it's not a technical book. It's a technical book, but it's a novel. And this is very interesting to see the how the companies can optimize their process. And the story is about a responsible that take their shoulder a big company and start the journey to automate all the process and increase the developer experience of the quality. So it's a good book to read during the holidays, not because of time, but okay. And last advice for me, it's this sentence always of the pragmatic programmer: be a catalyst for change. As I told you before, it's enough one step, it's enough to put some stone in some pot and then the things can happen. You can start a big machine. That's all, thank you.
Thank you, Luca, for the presentation. Now it's your turn. Do you have any question or comment you would like to share with the group?
I have a question.
Hi, Luca. I have a question about the beginning, no code, low code. How do you see this development? Isn't there a risk of creating lock-in effect to a platform which is providing these tools and you have no way to exit this specific platform you have chosen? Or is it that there is a standard where I can then switch to other platforms and keep my low-code, no-code configurations in some way?
Yes, this is our responsibility. This is the things that I told to the beginning. We know that it's dangerous giving everything to the end of citizen developers because they don't care about the vendor lock-in. They never know what the vendor lock-in is. But this is a movement that we cannot stop, so we need to find allies instead of fighting them, because there are a lot of money in record. The tool that I suggested before, Directus, is self-hostable. It's open source, and there is no vendor lock-in. At least you don't want to buy the platform license for them. But that's why I suggest often this tool, because it's practically a low code. It's totally no code, but if you want to enhance, so if you want to make very specific thing. You have the whole API at your disposition, so you can do everything. And for for developers, for sure we need to avoid vendor lock-in and using this local tool that, in my opinion, are very, very, very dangerous for the open source, for the world software development in general, because in 10 years I don't know how many apps built with few money we need to take in our hands and refactor and rewrite or enhance without knowing the history, without having the code, without having anything. So this is a good advice, a good question. We need to rely, if we want to work on a low code and no code tool, we need to find open source alternatives. So N8 and Directus are good candidates.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, thank you for your experience, and I feel with you in a lot of what you say. You talked about the developer experience, and most of all from an individual, from a, let's say, me dimension, so this dimension of the me. But I think that as a developer you have not only this dimension, so there's also this dimension of the we, so my team. So it's, as you also said, it's the decision of the team how we code. But today, if I look around, we are not only a team, we are also a community. So especially when you take a look in the open source community, then I think you must code in a way that others would like to see your code. So it's not your individual decision. So when you look around and you come with old style code, so it's you look and feel this old style to others. So for my opinion, it's not only an individual decision how you code, it's the decision of the others. They want to use your code. So maybe if you...
I never met a developer who read the code and tell, oh, how good is this code? Maybe there are some in the world, but I never see. Not only my code, of course, also my code is a mess. But yes, you're right. We need to. I think there are two different contexts. The first context is the open source context, where your code is open to the world, and then yes, it's different. There are different rules, and code for business. That I think this is my personal bias, my personal opinion. We need to write business code in a different way. In open source code, we need to be more abstract in order to reach more people, in order to solve more issues. But in the business, maybe this could be counterproducent, and we need to write with maybe less abstractions, with less layers, in order to be comprehensible also to junior developers that the company must hire. And there are two different, in my opinion, there are two different approach to the code. For sure, in any case, in the business, it's the team that should agree on the style of code. That's why the code review exists. Sometimes it happened also that I have a particular style and it was not aligned with the style of the other, and this was fixed in code review. And in this case, yes, the developer must be conscious of this and should be open to change, because it's the team that decide inside the business. In this case also, tools like Linter and Pretty and so on is a good friend, because it deletes all the frictions between useless statement like okay, 2 new lines after a function, or the parentheses in a new line instead of we can accept a good style of somebody else, and all the stuff must be automated. This is valid for open source, and it is valid for business. For the other things, yes, the teamwork must decide their style, and if more than one people decide, it could be readable. At least there are all the developers are very strangers, but in the end, if we find an agreement, in the end it works.
My question is a little personal. What do you think of managing entire team with Jira and using all the Atlassian features?
It's all about the people. I personally prefer GitLab and the agile tools of GitLab of the professional edition of GitLab that is quite expensive. For this reason, the business is not happy to buy license if the team is big. But the problem, the real issue is that for companies, there are not only the IT teams, there are also sales, there are other departments, and we cannot put them inside GitLab. In this case, I'm for following the standard de facto, that could be maybe Jira in this case, because it's more easy that developers adapt to Jira than other employees adapt to GitLab in this case. And it depends, as before, it's the team that must decide in this case. I hate Jira, I can do it.
Thank you for the talk. I wanted to ask you something about your experience, if you have any advice or suggestion. When it comes to, let's say, as a team leader, decide some templates for the code that must be adopted anytime you are going to build a new feature or a new piece of code or something like this. So if you have any, I don't know, experience about this, about how to build these templates in order to have a systematic way of adding new structure to the code.
You mean making some script, the auto-generate code?
No, like how to structure any new feature, like, I don't know, just a stupid thing, but the folder that you want to have any time you want to add something to add some new feature.
Okay, in my experience, the best thing is to follow in the rules that are standard de facto. Not because they are the best rules, maybe they are, but not for this, but because there is, it's always about the people. And it's easier that if you follow some standard, it's easier that external people that come inside the companies knows already how to build a module in this framework, how to build stuff like this. As a team leader, it's never a good idea to force people to use your mindset unless it's not shared, it's not shared between all the other developers. And a good idea, it could be make some automated script to generate in future, if it is possible. Maybe not always is possible. It's not always possible, but if it is possible, it is better. With one command, okay, I have this file in the right places with the right alignment and so on. Of course, it should work, and this is challenging, and it must be used as a standard de facto inside the code. This is my personal experience.
Thanks. I do have also a question about AI. So you thought now that auto-generated code. There is also AI-generated code, and also in the process you see in the future also a role for AI in helping a team leader or not?
I don't have the authority to answer this question, but I experienced to do some, for me personally, for my works, and to use the AI for scaffolding. It works pretty good if it is a very standard stuff. I use it for make, for example, query in build query, create table on Postgres or MySQL. It's useful to tell to GPT or Llama or whatever. Please, I had to build. I had to manage a ticketing system. Please make me the tables. And if it is, I think, very common and very standard, it's quite straightforward. Same thing for the code. If you use a framework, a well-known framework, it's understandable, it's well trained also in this framework, so the output is right. But I would use the AI for creative stuff, or for help stuff. For example, maybe adding architects the database in this case, because it was trained to other code, maybe also private repository on GitHub, probably. And I noticed that it works well. But if I think could be automated, because pretty standard should not be useful to use an AI because of hallucination or some issue. Experience in React, for example, that there are a lot of parentheses. There are always some error, even on Copilot and Gemini. This is what I experienced. And of course, if you generate something from AI, in my opinion, you must be able to read it. You cannot generate things that you are not able to understand, because we need to double check